Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. This is a show where we help investors just like you to find, figure, fund, fix, and flip a foreclosure deal with a target profit of $25,000 or more. You know, a lot of people come to me and say, Donnie, how much time should I be spending on deal analysis? Like, I got to figure out if these are good deals, but how much time should I take to figure that out? We're going to really dive into deal analysis this week and explain to you how much time you should spend on deal analysis to make sure you're buying the right deal. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host, Donnie Corum, and once again, this is the show where we help investors like you to do a deal. We discuss mindset, tactics, tools, everything you need to become a successful investor. I like to share with people, I'm not just one of those gurus who's out there talking about flipping a deal. You guys are going to hear a lot of background noise today, and I thought about, doing this another time or whatever, but right now, as you can see behind me, we are currently working on getting some tile backsplash installed on a property we are living in and remodeling in the Scottsdale market. You can see my tile guys hard at work back there, and it's going to come out amazing. I'm so excited to see this bad boy all said and done. We put a lot of work into it. We are nearing the end and putting in the finishes. So the point is, I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. We're actually doing deals in real time right now. We've got 5 or 6 clients who are in deals right now, and we are working, I want to say 2 to 3 acquisitions that are going to be coming to our clients here in the next week or 2. So, it's not just talking about it, it's about doing it. And I wanted to include you guys a little bit in the real world life of a flipper as I'm living in this remodel in real time. So let's hop in. A lot of people come to me worried about deal analysis and the mindset that I mentioned in the presentation for the foreclosure profit system, which, by the way, is a good segue to the foreclosure profit system, is a great way to get started in real estate investing, because I can help you to do all this stuff, to find the deal on your behalf, to analyze the deal thoroughly, to get it funded with my lending partners, fix it with my contracting team, and sell it with my team agent while you keep all the profit. Why do we do it? Because it's profitable for you and for me to find great deals. If you want to learn more and get started and really do this real estate investing thing, head on out to foreclosureprofitsystem.com and let's go over how that format works. We'll get you going on that. All right, going back into this here. Again, got some construction noise, so bear with me. You have to analyze deals. So the 3 numbers that matter in deal analysis, right? We talk about this often, but people worry about it because a lot of emotion going into making a $300,000 purchase or $400,000 on a property you're never going to live in. So how do you do it? How do you do the analysis? Well, let me tell you this. The key to anything is to do a lot of it. Some people who are just getting in have never analyzed a deal at all. Others have analyzed a handful of deals, and now that they're getting into it, they're trying to figure out deal analysis in real time. But if you're going to be a master at anything, you've got to do a lot of it. So when I'm doing my presentation for the foreclosure profit system, I'm just going to borrow a slide from that real quick. I'm going to hop you guys in and share my screen. Give me just a second. Present. Here we go. All right, here we go. So in the analysis phase of this, right, there's a mindset that you got to deal with. And the mindset is that it's difficult to analyze deals quickly. And that is true. Listen, you have to make a major executive decision on a pretty good amount of money in a relatively short period of time. That's a difficulty. So what do you do there? Well, after years of analysis, you got to keep in mind, I've been flipping properties for 20 years. Okay, I did my first deal when my oldest daughter was still in a baby carrier. I had her on the front porch of this property in her baby carrier. I wanted to show her. She was like not even 1. So I was 6 months old when I'm doing this deal. So she doesn't remember it all. But I was so proud of my first deal that I took her to it. And I was showing her around and having a good time with that. But she is now 21 years old, okay? So we've come a long way since that first deal. About 20 years ago, I'm doing my first deal, and I analyzed the deal completely wrong. But now you fast forward 400 flips personally, okay, tens of thousands of deals I've analyzed. I spend about an hour to two a day in deal analysis. And I mean every day, especially this time of year when a lot of deals are coming onto the market. We're seeing a lot of stuff in the wholesale network. It's June, baby, and summer buying season has started in Colorado. And although things are slowing down a little bit in the Arizona market because of the higher interest rates, this is a very target-rich environment. My point is I had to dumb it down. And so I dumbed it down to what I call my simple 3-deal analysis formula, where the idea is that we break it into just 3 things that actually matter in deal analysis. See, if you're trying to take in 100 different variables, you're really going to struggle to do the analysis. Now, there are definitely 100 different variables on every deal. Neighborhood, condition, what parts you're going to fix, what parts you're not going to fix. But when you're first doing deal analysis, you want to keep it very simple so you can decide whether it's worth doing the full deal analysis later. What I see a lot of newbie investors doing is chasing deals that if they had just done the initial simple analysis, they would not have had to spend all the time doing the full analysis, which could easily take 2 to 3 hours I spent on a deal that I've decided to proceed with, okay? And that comes down to running the comp analysis, doing the full rehab analysis, and et cetera. So you want to dumb it down to 3 basic numbers. We're going to discuss those 3 numbers here in a bit. And then you want to zoom in, if you will, if you've decided the 3 numbers work and you want to move forward, right? Once I've done my deal analysis effectively, I put all of it into an app called Deal Check. And I really encourage you to get Deal Check. The basic product is free. Please, please, please use my affiliate link for Deal Check if you would. I'm going to pop that up on the screen right now. You can see if you do 20% off, if you head out to fdcdealcheck.com, you can register for the Deal Check software, completely free for the basic, $250 a year or so. If you go to the upgraded, it is totally worth it. I could simply not run my business without Deal Check. So I highly recommend you get your analysis more dialed in using the Deal Check platform. But I want to pop open Deal Check here real quick so you guys can see what I'm looking at and where this analysis comes into play super fast here. So let me stop sharing this screen. I'm going to hop into this other screen to share. Here we go. So here's Deal Check in all of its glory. The idea behind Deal Check is you can put in different types of software, whether it's different types of deals, whether it's a flip, a wholesale, etc. Most of my day is spent in flips. As you can see here, I got 110 in here. I got to do a better job of cleaning this up for sure. But here's an actual deal that we're working on in construction right now. We, of course, put in the purchase price. We figure out what the rehab budget is, and then we determine based on the sales comp what we're going to sell it at. From there, it factors in all the other costs, insurance, HOA fees, yada, 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 all the way down here. And then it spits out a total profit on the deal. In this case, we came up with a potential yield on the property of $37,473 after we factored in all the costs of the deal. This is the full analysis. So I'm stepping in front a little bit to explain that when we're doing the full analysis, we really dial it into Deal Check and try to get all the pieces into it so we know it at great detail. After, in this case, we're projecting 4 months of total holding time, which factors in 4 to 6 weeks of construction, 30 to 40 days on the market because things are a little slower right now, and then 30 days to underwrite and close the deal. It adds up to about 4 months in total holding time. We got to figure that out because every month has an expense. Note how our holding costs are going up every single month we own this, right? $3,000 or $4,000. So very expensive money at 10 to 12% with hard money. So we got to factor in those holding costs to figure out what our profitability is going to be. But prior to getting to this point, we got to do a very basic deal analysis. So let's pop back into seeing a basic deal analysis. I'm going to stop the screen share here and go back to our other one. Here we go. So once that's the full. If we're looking at the basic, 3 numbers really matter in real estate investing. And these 3 numbers you can figure out generally in about 30 minutes to an hour if you're working at this. Is how much you should spend on your basic analysis, figuring out 3 things that really matter. Number 1, your acquisition price. Now, the acquisition price is really more decided by the seller or the wholesaler, right? So you normally have that number pretty quickly quickly attached. But where you have to do some analysis on acquisition price is how much do you have in available capital? Because once you determine your acquisition price, you have to do a multiplier to make sure you've got enough money to actually do the deal. And there's no point in taking on an acquisition price on an $800,000 deal if 15% down gets you to $120,000 down, right? And you've got 50 to 60K in liquidity. That deal is simply not going to work, right? So you got to do some backwards math a little bit to determine what the most you can pay for a property based on your current access to capital. So there is some calculation there, but normally the seller is defining the acquisition price for you. You are simply defining if you can afford to do that deal or not. A lot of my investors are undercapitalized. Most people are getting started in this and they're not sitting on a couple $1 million they can deploy. You're going to get there one day if you continue to do deals. But when you're first getting started out, the challenge is you got to have enough capital to do the deal. In this case, $300,000 deal is going to take 15% or about $45,000 to $50,000 in liquidity that you're going to need to get this deal done. Okay, so come in with that as the math. I have $50,000 in liquidity, thus I can buy a $300,000 deal, and that way you're only looking for deals that would apply to what you have in available liquidity. Obviously, you got to do that before you find the deal. Okay, don't wait till you're looking for a deal to determine you ain't got the money to do a deal. For one thing, you're going to upset the guy bringing the deal to you. It's going to reduce your credibility in the marketplace. And the real estate wholesale community is a smaller community than you think. You don't want to damage your reputation. You can't last very long if people know you're the type of person who simply can't get a deal closed. Okay. The second number is that rehab budget. And this is a far more dedicated analysis. After years of doing this, I can tell you that we can usually fit our rehab budget into 3 buckets. And those buckets are based on the condition of the property. On the low end of the bucket, a very basic cosmetic overhaul, we should be able to get a deal done between $20 and $25 a square foot in total cost to get it done, right? So again, if we've got a 1,700 square foot house, 1,500 square foot's easier math, let's do that. Let's say 1,500 square feet, we multiply that by $30 a square foot, we're at $45,000 a remodel. Okay. And that's pretty average. Most of my remodels are somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000. Those are the deals that we're looking for. We're not looking to do the real extensive over the top remodels. That's not good business. There's so many properties out there that you can do a basic cosmetic overhaul and do very well financially on that deal, as opposed to the deals that require $100,000 in remodel and you're going to be tied up for a while. Now, there's a lot of money to be made on the upper end remodels, but if you're a newbie investor, you're just getting started, my recommendation is stick to the basic cosmetic remodels. You're going to find yourself happier, less stressed out. And as you get better and you develop your teams and you got more product management skills and more product management on the team, you'll be able to take on the higher end remodels. But getting started, you really want to do the basic stuff. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Because you don't want to do deals that are outside of your scope. But we usually budget for about 50K on a typical remodel. And then the last number is what we're selling at. And that number is going to come from the deal check. Again, we can go back to the deal check because part of the section on this is the deal analysis. It allows us to put in our sales comps. I'm going to show you that here real quickly so you can see it. But with those sales comps, we are going to be able to figure out what we're going to sell it at. It's important in this market, especially, to be super conservative, right? The market is trading a little bit less than it has been in previous years. It's not that prices have gone down. It's more that there's more conservatism in the market. So you have to expect that even at retail, you're going to be in the property for a little bit longer. So you want to run your comps on the lower end with the hopes that you make more because the market trends in your favor, right? But understand a lot of this is trend analysis and a lot of it is based on current market data. And you're trying to find a market number somewhere in between those two. Okay. You don't want to be too high. You don't want to be too low, but our sales comp analysis shows that the townhome, this property is a townhome. Our subject property is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. This comp that we have is a 0.63 miles away. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath. It went for $480. Okay, we bought this one for $325, so $480 is super exciting, and I've got more square footage, by a large margin. So it stands to reason we should be comfortably getting in that 480 bracket because we've got more property to play off of. Further analysis shows that it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with 2,300 square feet that went for 480, but it's a really nice remodel. Check this thing out. They did a pretty good job of the interior. They left the original cabinets. We've replaced our cabinets on ours. So again, what we bought it at versus what we intend to sell it at, we've got a pretty good gap. The point was that we did this analysis prior. Here's another one, 0.28 miles away, went for 458. Another one, 485. Lots of fours here, a lot of entry-level fours, but it's smaller square footage, right? So we're trying to find the comps that make the most sense. And what I love about the deal check software, I used to have to balance these comps in my head. I like this comp, I don't like that comp. Deal check makes it super simple because I can just select a button here for the ones I want to keep. I can drop the ones I don't want to keep very quickly here. In the end, we came up with a analysis that we were going to sell this thing at 460. And that was a couple of months ago when we bought the property. I think we're going to be a little conservative looking at the more recent comps. We should come in higher. But I also want to let you know that any deal that we do with this system, we're going to start with a very conservative number, and then we're going to work our way up from there. So if we're happy with the conservative yield, obviously if we make more money, you're going to be happier, right? If happy clients do more deals, so all of it works into getting the right numbers early on. But we keep our comps in the deal check analysis software so we can maintain those comps over time and change them. As we're working on the remodel, the market's going to change a little bit. Not much. Markets don't move that far in a couple of months, but we know it's going to move a little bit, and we want to be able to track those comps in real time. So I habitually go back to analysis on properties that I've been working on and I'm in construction on just to see what the market's trending and, more importantly, find any comps that excites me. But quick math shows that if we're going to sell this property for $400K, just theoretically, we spot it for $300K, and we put $50K in the remodel, that leaves a $50,000 gross profit. It'd be great if we got to keep that, but it's not how it works. We got to reduce that gross profit to cover cost of funds, the hard money holding cost, right? The sales commissions, right? What the agents expect to pay for the deal, and the closing cost the buyer is probably going to ask for. Cutting that in half leaves us with a $25,000 target net profit. And on that deal we just did, we were already at $37,000 or more using conservative numbers, right? So we know that we're probably going to do better than the 25K average on this deal, which is the objective. But if we only make 25K on the deal, and if we can do 3 to 4 deals per year, which is my target for the foreclosure profit system clients, hit 4 deals per year, that's $100K in additional income coming into your household on a system that's managed for you by my construction crews, my product management, and my agent. So obviously you can do this yourself. Obviously you can go out and find a deal on your own, that you could handle this on your own. But for most people who have a day job and things going on and don't have as much experience and analysis as I do, it makes sense to bring myself and my team of analysts onto your team. By joining the system, we do all the heavy lifting for you, and we will find that deal, analyze it on your behalf. But typically you're going to plan on spending 30 minutes doing the quick analysis, determining your 3 numbers to your best of your ability, and then you're going to spend another 2 to 3 hours of time doing the full analysis down the road. But now that you know that, you got to really start valuing your time. If you're spending 3 hours on analysis on a property, you got to get that done relatively fast. And if you've got a day job and other things to do, that property, if it's a really good deal, is not going to last long. Okay, so you've got to be able to do that analysis in a short period of time. If you have to dedicate 30 to 40 minutes to quick analysis, that's not so bad, right? But it has to happen on a schedule, because if it's a good deal, there will be competition on that deal. Okay, so, or you can transfer all this responsibility, buy the system, and get going. If you'd like to talk more about joining the foreclosure profit system, please click on the link there. Join the foreclosure profit system. Schedule a call with me. We'll talk about what is the right fit for you in your current investing journey. And certainly, if it is, I would love to have you in the system and start looking for a deal for you right away. So that's kind of our show for today, guys. Analysis is a super important part of the deal. You can't shortchange it. You got to do a good job of the analysis if you're going to make money in this. If you want to transfer that time and responsibility to a professional team to do the analysis for you, I'd be happy to take that on. Let's hop on a call and see if we're a good fit to work together. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. Thanking you so much for tuning in the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. Wishing you the best of days and reminding you, don't buy a house, buy a deal.